Welcome to the Run Your Day podcast, a show dedicated to helping you expand your capacity, take your life in every area to an entirely new level, and creating a day and a life by design. Here's your host, Dan Hafner. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Run Your Day podcast. As always, Dan Hafner here, founder of Runwage and the host of this Run Your Day podcast platform. All right, my friends, today's topic is this: lessons in mental toughness. As always, I appreciate you all joining. All right, so, man, I've been getting my ass kicked lately. There's no getting around it. Life has been kicking my ass lately, and it's not even just inside of one area. Inside of there's been some things that, like I shared in a previous episode, some things that have gone sideways recently inside of business, doing a whole bunch of different things. We're doing a whole bunch of different things inside of the app, inside of the podcast here, trying to set up some courses, trying to do all kinds of different stuff. And then also inside of, my personal life with all the different demands I have on my time, the things that are going on with my wife, with just our whole life, right? And I don't tell you all this to throw a pity party. I'm not like, I don't want you to take it that way, right? But one thing I'm sitting here thinking about and realizing is this sheer fact that I'm just over budget, right? Like, I'm over budget when it comes to time. And I'm over budget when it comes to my mental capacity to handle all of it. Right? It's stressful as shit. And you might find yourself in a similar situation, right? You might find yourself burnt out or overly stressed or overwhelmed with stuff. And this tends to happen. This tends to happen when it happens in life generally, whatever you're doing, right? But it does tend to happen when you push for more, when you grow, when you try to expand and you try to change what you're doing and how you're doing, right? And this is legit. Like, this is what happens right now. This is kind of the difference they talk about between good and bad stress, right? Bad stress is that stress that's like worrying you and hurting you, and I don't know the whole physiological nature of stress, but whatever, it releases cortisone or whatever the hell, right? Like, the toxins it releases in your body that are not good for you, right? And it's proven. Now there's good stress, which is like, oh, I have all these things to do and all these different things to get done, and I've made this commitment, I did this commitment, I did all this stuff, and that's good stress, right? Because it forces you to become more. It forces you to be more active. It forces you to change your focus onto what you're actually doing and how you're accomplishing it, right? But I say that with a very big but. Not that my butt is big. You know what I mean? Either way, it does reach a point when you can get overwhelmed, right? It does reach a point when you're like, shit, like I bit off more than I can chew, and I can't freaking chew it, And I've had this happen to me several times over the past few years, but it happens. Like, I notice a pattern, right? Like, I'll be stuck where I'm at, and I'm like, man, like, I really want to go bigger, or I want to do something different, or I need to change something up, right? And then I start to get very clear on, okay, like, I know I want to go this direction. I know this is what I want to do. So I'm going to, like, drop this commitment, and then I'm going to shift my focus over to this commitment, like whatever it might be inside of whatever area, right? And you can apply this as I go along too. Then you start to go down this path of like, okay, I feel good about this. I'm getting some results with it. Like, yeah, it's working, but it's kind of stressful. I didn't know it was going to be this hard. I didn't know it was going to be like this, right? And this is where your mental toughness comes in, right? This is purely where mental toughness comes in and shows what you're made of, and I will admit, I never was a mentally tough person. I wasn't. I played football almost my whole life. Well, I didn't play as a young kid. I started in high school, um, and I played into college. But I was not a mental. I never considered myself a mentally tough person. Am I? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But um, you know, uh, what do you think of when you think of mental toughness? Right? Do you think of Rocky? Do you think of you know? Um, I'm trying to think of other options, or someone like a Batman character, or just some form of mental toughness. Like what's the image that comes to your mind when you think of mental toughness, right? And I'll have you consider that you'll never live up to that image of mental toughness ever. Like I don't care what it is, right? Because the idea that you have for mental toughness is something that's probably fictional or it's portrayed, right? Like I reference him all the time on the show, but like, sometimes when I think of mental toughness, I think of David Goggins, right? Now, I can't compare with David Goggins. You probably can't compare with David Goggins. If you know who he is, if you don't Google him, but if you know who he is, like the dude is insane. Like it's just an absolute like completely whole other alien level of mentally and physically being tough. But you don't have to be that to be mentally tough and to push through the hard stuff, the stuff that's causing good stress in your life, right? So how do you get through this? Like how do I, right? And that's honestly, that's a question that I've struggled to answer sometimes, right? Because sometimes you just think like, well, I just need to like man up and get it done, right? Which, sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. I've tried that too, where I get to a point where I'm like, if I just grit my teeth and just like, oh, I can do this, it's not always the best way to get through stuff because that might be a sign that what you're doing is not really like what you want to be doing, right? Like it might just be, well, you have to try and you have to do all this stuff in a different way because it's just not coming naturally to you, or it's not what you truly want to be working towards, which is very, very interesting, right? Now, the other piece is to just drop it and just quit. No one's stopping you, right? You can just be like, well, this isn't really that important to me. I don't know, like whatever. I just won't work towards this, right? I think there's a balance in there, right? So what I think, this is just me talking to you, right? What I think is there's a balance in remembering why you're doing something and being and keeping that vision forefront in your mind, whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're trying to change a career, whether you're trying to make a relationship better, like whatever you're trying to do. having the vision having the vision in front of you, I think, is what helps mental toughness, because it's so easy to get lost in the daily tasks that we have, in the mundane work, and kind of look at something and be like, is this really worth it? Is this really worth it? Right? Because then when that question, is this really worth it, crops up, that's where your mental toughness is revealed. Because if you answer no, right, you're finding an excuse. You're allowing your mind to take over and be like, no, we're not going to be tough enough to endure this. Point blank. Like that's what's happening, right? If you get to that point where you ask that question, is this truly worth it? And you say yes, clearly it's important to you. Clearly you're just missing a piece. Clearly there's a strong why and a strong vision there, and you just need to remember it. Whether you need to take a break, you need to go for a walk, you need to listen to some music and just reflect on that, right? And people think like mental toughness is just taking a punch to the face, or just I'm a man, I can do it. But a lot of times it's self-inflection, right? It's self-reflection, being alone with yourself, being willing to go deep inside of your own brain, inside of your own heart, and think about like, why does this matter to me? Right? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why, like, in almost kind of playing the why game? That's mental toughness to me. That's a form of it, at least, because questioning yourself is sometimes harder than doing anything else in the world, right? Like it's so, because you might not like what you find. You might not be asking the right questions. You might become completely lost in your whole life and your direction of what's going on, right? So there is a form of mental toughness that comes through self-inflection, or reflection, whatever the hell the word is for that, right? Just being willing to dig deep inside of you and figure out what makes you tick, what gets you going, why you do what you do. That's a form of mental toughness. Okay. So I would have you consider, right? This is my challenge for you today to consider, right? Are you mentally tough? Are you tough enough to start this path of self-reflection, of self-investigation, right? Because it does take some mental toughness. And even through all these times that I've been going through, like when I look back on it in the past couple of years, like my willingness to go deep and self-reflect and self-investigate has been what has developed me for these types of times when I'm just getting my ass handed to me, right? Because I know what makes me tick. I know I've investigated, and there's a certainty that comes with that. So that's my challenge for you to do. Where in your life, or maybe not even that, are you willing and ready to start self-investigating? Right? Are you willing and ready to start self-investigating? Now, if you are, I would invite you to check out the new Run Your Day Elite program. Okay, I did promise there was a cool announcement coming, and it's ready. It's here. So I went ahead and created finally the Run Your Day Elite platform. Now, this will help you develop mental toughness. This will help you down the path of self-investigation. Okay. Now, where I set it up is called mastermind.com. mastermind.com. You go there, you search in Run Your Day. It's the very first result that comes up. Same logo as the podcast. It's a one-time investment of $47. And this program is starting up here in early September, mid-September 2020. So if you're ready for this path of self-reflection, self-investigation, that's what a big part of that course is going to be. So I highly encourage you to check it out. I'm really, really excited for it. I've been trying to bring this to you guys for a long time, and it's finally here. So I highly encourage you, go over to mastermind.com, search in Run Your Day, and it's right there. You can get started today. Right now, it's live. Everything's ready to go. Okay. All right, my friends, that is all I have for you. Start this process of self-investigation. I promise you'll start to develop mental toughness. All right, my friends, that is all. Head over, join Run Your Day Elite today. Look forward to seeing you there. Dan Hafner signing off. Make it a great rest of your day. Hey, have you ever thought about joining a virtual run challenge? As COVID-19 continues to upend our lives and change our life routines, finding fresh ways to challenge yourself physically can be difficult. I know I'm having trouble with that. It can also be pretty hard to connect with others and find accountability partners for the purpose of fitness as well. That's why we created Runwage Virtual Challenges. Runwage Challenges are a new and exciting way to stay physically active and maintain social distancing. Every challenge takes place 100% online, and you can compete against and engage with runners from all over the world. Best of all, they are the only virtual challenges out there which actually reward participants with real cash. That means you have no excuse for staying inactive during this pandemic. So if you've been looking for a fresh and interesting way to stay active and get your miles in, go to runwageapp.com/virtual challenges to join me and the diverse community of runners already competing. That's runwageapp.com/virtual challenges. Can't wait to see you there.